Good morning and welcome to Judaism Today. Have you ever noticed when Machlokes happens, when strife breaks out, when discord occurs, when people are at each other's throats? It's usually when there are problems. It's usually when there are challenges going on. It's usually when there's tension building up, when there are other things that are not, when life is smooth sailing, usually there's not Machlokes. When things are normal and regular, and the way they're supposed to be, quote unquote, then you don't usually have machlokes. But when something rocks the boat, when there's a problem going on, that's where machlokes breaks out. That's when there's unusual, when there's stress, that's where machlokes breaks out. This is what happened in this week's parsha. The Rambam points out an amazing thing. For the first year or so in the desert, Moshe Rabbeinu was untouchable. He was beloved. He took them out of Egypt. They loved him. No one would dare talk against Moshe's leadership. But in the aftermath of the spies, when they were condemned to wander the desert for 40 years, and the Jews, everything seemed hopeless, the Jews of that generation saw Moshe wasn't able to save them, that's when Machlokes breaks out. And a lot of times for good reason. There are differences of opinion about how to move forward. There are differences how to rectify a situation. You might say the current leader is not doing good enough. There's a reason. There are reasons why Machlokes doesn't happen in a vacuum. That Machlokes happens under situations of duress. But nonetheless, we see how Korach is held accountable for what he does in this week's parsha. And this is a very important lesson to us. It's not just a lesson, don't make Machlokes, but it's really a lesson that says, don't allow a false pretext for machlokes. Just because things aren't going well doesn't mean we should be at each other's throats. Just because there are challenges doesn't mean that we should allow that to disrupt our relationships. On the contrary, the Torah is teaching us that not only is machlokes bad, but even with a pretext of, you might say, look, we just were condemned to wander the desert for 40 years. What greater pretext could there be? Nonetheless, that doesn't do it. As we're taught in the Mishnah, a machlokes l'shem shamayim works. You can have a machlokes for the sake of heaven, like the machlokes of Hillel and Shammai. But the machlokes of Korach never works. Seek for constructive solutions, dialogue, work it out, but don't create machlokes. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Judaism Today. If you did, please make sure to follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, or check into our podcast wherever podcasts are listened to, and we look forward to hearing from you more.